Hello everybody, this is Fernando and I wanted to create a special edition type video for all my fans out there in the YouTube world. The reason I'm doing this is because I keep getting a lot of questions being sent to me on the comment boards, and then also in some cases through private messages, and then also posted on my channel page as well. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to create a video where I could help answer a lot of the things that it seemed to be coming up frequently. And the main reason for this is because I'm getting actually a whole bunch of comments on a daily basis, so much so that YouTube in fact stopped sending me notices about comments to my email because they were getting to be so much. I didn't change anything as far as the settings. YouTube themselves just stopped it because they would know that it was getting to the point where it was non-stop on like an hourly basis. So, my apologies again for those of you that think as far as like what you post and why I haven't responded. It's just that sometimes there's so much that comes in that I'm not able to catch up on a lot of things, and I try to do it in clumps. So those of you, especially like on private messages or anything involving comments on my board or anything along those lines, I do read them and I do get to them. It just takes me a little while, but I definitely appreciate again everybody taking time for that. And so that's why I wanted to create this video too, to share it with everybody at the same time, and that way you get to hear a lot of this stuff all at once. So I'm titling this video the behind the scenes because it's essentially a good summation of what it comes to when I'm working on my channel, when I'm working on the videos, some of the reasons why I do things, and then finally at the end I'm going to talk about some of the fun stuff about myself. So in any case, the first thing is why I do this channel. The main reason for it is because I do it because I love talking about everything that's within the channel. I started all of this a couple of years back when I was talking about Godzilla. And the necessity is the mother of invention. That's the theme that I followed, because when it came to the world of Godzilla and the news related to Godzilla, especially at that time, the upcoming 2014 film, there was nothing. Like, there was nothing to talk about. Very few people were even talking about it on websites, let alone on like the video podcast format. So I decided I wanted to use my YouTube channel for this, and I created my YouTube channel years back beforehand. But since I already had it open and I created already a good lasting profile with YouTube, what better way to continue than to place my Godzilla videos on there? And then once that happened and things started to pick up, all of a sudden I just thought to myself, I really love watching other people's videos involving cryptid-like entities, but a lot of those videos were stuff related to maybe a couple of shots, a couple of photos, but very few info, very few resources, stuff where they talk about it's just, and in some cases the really annoying thing where it's pictures followed by like heavy metal type music. And I said, no, there's got to be something better than this. And so just like I did with Godzilla, I just simply started talking about the cryptids. And the more it grew and the more success it became, I just simply went with what I liked. And as a strange coincidence, and I'm so happy that this works, it resonated with yourselves as viewers. So of course I've tweaked things along the way. Some things that haven't worked, I'll be able to know, because based on your comments, that's why I always ask everybody to please post your comments and share them below, because when I do read them and I see when stuff is not working, then I either change it or I stop things altogether. But that's essentially how I started the Cryptids and Monsters video, because I saw the need for it too, just like I did with Godzilla. And I'm so blessed to have everybody come on board and like what I'm doing because of it. And also, as I've mentioned in the past, on the Godzilla side, there was one dude, I wish I knew who he was, I wish his name, but I kind of copied and mimicked what he was doing whenever he was talking about the Cloverfield movie. He had a YouTube channel where he would talk about upcoming news related to Cloverfield, and he would do it exactly like I do it, where he talks into a microphone and then he presents pictures tied to it, and in that case there were pictures, reported pictures related to Cloverfield, behind the scenes things, leaked images, that kind of stuff. And once I saw how well that worked, I mean, you could literally watch this video, even though it's a slideshow of sorts, you could watch it, and it stays with you. The minutes just go by fast. Then I realized I could do that as well with my Godzilla videos and with the Creatures and Monsters, and then eventually I morphed it into including other topics I love, such as the Ninja Turtles, and then the other topics like the urban legends. So it all pretty much came from that. It wasn't all at once. It was just step after step after step about doing stuff that I love, seeing a need for it, and then developing from there. So that's basically how it all started. And then another question I see pop up is, what's with my name? Like, I say my name is Fernando, but the channel is William DeFalco. And as I posted just now on some of the other people's posts, but I'm sharing with everybody here, it's actually pretty simple. Again, I created my YouTube channel years back, years before I even started my videos. And when it was asking for a user ID, I just quickly on the spot thought to myself, I'll just make something up. I'll just use a first and last name that I've always liked, in this case William, and then a last name DeFalco, and then just combine them and use it there. That's it. That's as simple as it is when it comes to the reason why my YouTube channel is called William DeFalco. It's kind of like those dudes, the ones that made Cloverfield. There was the name Cloverfield, and people were thinking all these mysterious things tied to the name, and it turns out it had to do with, I believe it was the street that they were on, that the production team was on, and then that was it. That was the reason why it was called Cloverfield. Kind of like the same thing here. I just simply, the first thing that came to mind, I just combined them together, and that's how it went afterward. Another question I get all the time is, why don't I do certain videos like Bigfoot, Loch Ness, Mothman type stuff? The reason for it, as I've explained on some of the other posts, but again I'm sharing with everybody here, is because everything involving this channel and what I believe is the success of it is because I'm purposefully picking some of the most unknown, original, out there, wacky, kooky type cryptids and monsters that people deserve to hear about. I mean, there's a lot of things that I read about that is still stuff that I don't talk about, because even for me, it's way too beyond. It's too far out there. But the stuff that I do talk about is the stuff that I believe that people should hear about. That's why I asked for your suggestions, and that's why I wade through them and then eventually pick the ones that I believe you would like. So if I pick stuff like, let's say, Mothman or Bigfoot, everybody's heard about them. I mean, everybody knows about them. It's boring by that point, and not boring in the sense that that it shouldn't be talked about, but when I compare it to the stuff that could be so much more fascinating, then yes, that's where I love picking some of the other subjects based on your suggestions, and then also based on some of the stuff that I come across. Will I eventually get to some of the major league, like the All-Stars, like the ones I just mentioned? Maybe I could, but again, there's so much more great material to talk about, and that's why when it comes to some of the bigger names, I don't really come across and talk about that info just yet. I may save them for like special edition videos. Who knows? Maybe I'll create something somewhere along the lines where it's like a two-parter or a three-parter. It just depends on the availability of time, really, because some of these things can take a lot of work. And then also, if as rare as it sounds, if I'm running out of material, for some of the other cryptids and monsters, which I don't think will happen. But should that ever occur, then that's when I'll probably start focusing on the All-Star stuff. But otherwise, again, that's why I don't pick anything else involving some of the other major characters, and I believe that that's why it works when it comes to my videos, and that's why people keep subscribing, because they come across this stuff just like you, just like myself, and some of the stuff I've never heard of before, and it's so great to go look up the information and then share it with everybody. Anything else? Another thing, as I mentioned earlier, private messages and comments. I do get around to them. But again, I have to reiterate that there's so much stuff coming in. You'll notice that one of my themes too with my YouTube channel is minimalism. As far as myself, I don't like talking about myself or sharing info, only because it's annoying whenever I'm, let's say, watching other YouTube channels and I'm subscribed to multiple other ones, and when I do so, it's like the person that does the channel, they can't help but not talk about themselves, and instead of talking about the actual thing that I'm interested in. And so I based this minimalism on one of my favorite channels, which is Casino Man NJ. He's a guy that essentially goes into casinos and records the slot machines that he plays, especially the bonuses. But what he does is he purely just shows the bonuses, shows the slot play, and every little bit now and then he'll post stuff about himself, but even then it's just very small stuff, like it's scroll related, text related stuff that appears on the screen. That's what I love, because I go to his channel specifically to look at all the great slot machines, and at the same time he's not bombarding me with just info about himself, about his day, what happened, and so forth. That's why I think the success of his channel works, because he has a whole bunch of subscribers. I mean, mine pale in comparison to him. I mean, he's had millions and millions of views, and it all comes from dedicating the channel to what people want, and that's why I do it here as well. And it's also annoying whenever I go to other channels and people post like those little boxes of themselves as they're recording themselves, because I also love doing watching videos when it comes to gameplay, and the gameplay itself, I do like commentary every now and then, but not the entire video with commentary. And then it's gotten to the point where some people post those little boxes of themselves reacting to the gameplay along with the commentary, and it's just too much. To me, it's the equivalent of like people that make a painting, and then when it comes to their signature on the painting takes up like a quarter of it. It overlaps it when it shouldn't. That's just too much. And that's why whenever it comes to anything involving like talking back on your comments, replying, it's just something where I like doing it, and I definitely appreciate it with everybody, but I don't want to necessarily make it about myself, and that's why I do follow a minimalism thing. Keeping that in mind too, another thing that people ask me about all the time is maybe joining other people's channels, creating like a feeder fund of sorts. I think they call it like a partnership, although it's more of a technical term, but the term doesn't come to mind right now. It's something related to YouTube, and I probably get these invites not on a weekly basis, but maybe on a bi-weekly basis. And just like when it comes to the minimalism I just talked about, my channel, the success that's tied to it is simplicity. I just like keeping it with myself. Not that I'm not going like to ignore any other suggestions, and not that I don't want to. It's just that I like just keeping it simple. That's how I keep my life. It's easy to do whenever you just keep things simple. And when it comes to this channel, if I just keep it with myself only, then I only have to worry about myself. So again, thank you so much for all of those that have sent out invites, and all of you that have requested let's say subscribing and sharing information and going over other partnerships. Thank you so much again, but I just love the simplicity that I have right now with my own channel. And then another question, it's not really a question I get asked, but based on some of the comments that people post repeatedly, it's pretty much asking me, do I really like believe in all this stuff and all the cryptids and the monsters that I talk about, and in some cases the urban legends. And I always mention the same thing that I mention on the posts, on the replies that I've made. It's the idea that I go in with an open mind when it comes to some of these cryptids, because what I like and what I believe in could in turn be something that another person will look at me like it's the strangest thing in the world, like why do I believe in that? And vice versa, what other people believe in, I could think, oh my god, I can't believe they do that. Why is it so crazy that they believe in this thing? So that's why I go in with an open mind, and some of the stuff is pretty kooky, some of the stuff is far out there, but if I keep an open mind, I have to realize too that just like some of us believe in some things here in America when it comes to some of those crazy entities, those crazy urban legends, the stuff that just passed along for generations here in America and that people love to talk about. Other places may look at us like we're the weirdest thing ever. The same thing, like when I look at some of the other cryptids, like from the Philippines or from Africa or from Europe, it's just what I keep an open mind on that, because some of the stuff is really interesting, some of the stuff is so fascinating, I can't just help not talking about it. And at the same time, if it really is true, then that's awesome. That just makes it all the better when it comes to some of these things. And I'm hoping that that's what others that view my channel do so as well. It's about sharing this information and keeping an open mind that it could be true, some of this stuff could be false, but it's fun. At the end of the day, it's all about realizing the great imaginative stuff that's floating in this world, and if it's real, wow, then what a world we live in. That's why I really do love doing this channel. This is not work to me. When I come home from my career, everything that I do here on my YouTube channel is pure 100% fun. If it wasn't, then I wouldn't be making all of these videos as is, which I think I have now over 500 videos or so. So really great stuff. I'm excited about that. Now the fun stuff about myself, and again, what I mentioned earlier about minimalism, this is probably the closest that I'll reveal any information about myself. But here we go. Just crazy kooky stuff about myself. I'm left-handed. For those of you who ever wanted to know, I am left-handed. I get that comment a lot. My career, I get that comment a lot whenever I'm, let's say, at a store or whatever, and I'm signing for a transaction. But I can actually write with my right hand if I have to. It just looks a little bit more messed up than for my normal chicken scratch on the left hand side, but people just like that for whatever reason. I guess we make up about 10% of the world, but I don't know how, but I am left-handed, and it is what it is. I do drive a really kick-ass car. It's a Chevy Spark, one of the newer models that I paid for in cash. It's a really nice car. If you look online, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Chevy Spark. It's great on gas. I love it. I have it heavily modified too. I took it out, the stereo, put in a new one. I've got some good rims on there. I've got the black window tint, the limousine tint. It's my baby. I call her Iris, in fact, because when it comes to my cars, she's now my fourth car, if I'm not mistaken. I always name my car, and I heavily recommend that for anybody out there listening, because whenever you personalize your car and whenever you add a name, it just creates this, I believe, this attention that cars deserve. When you take care of the car and you pay attention to it, it takes care of you, and that's what makes it so long-lasting. My last car that I had was a Ford ZX2, which was more of a sporty type coupe, and I had it for a good number of years, and her name was Ariel, and the reason for it was because she was a bright red car, like a solid red car, like Ariel's hair, from The Little Mermaid. And whenever, again, you name a car like that, then you truly take care of it afterward. My favorite hobbies, I love reading. I have a huge library in my residence, and it's only because I shop at really cheap stores. Amazon, which sells books by the pennies, as long as you pay the shipping, which is usually $4. And then I love shopping at Half Price Books, although I've kind of placed a moratorium on my books and what I shop for now because my library has gotten so big. But I love reading, and then I also love audiobooks. I have a huge library of audiobooks too. A lot of them books on tape, and that's because those books on tape are so cheap. Nobody wants them, so they sell really well online for great prices. And this is me. I loved audiobooks ever since I was a young kid. I think one of my first audiobooks was one of the Batman audiobooks, and once I realized the world involved with just putting on a tape and then listening to it, that's how it focused on to my YouTube channel and with these podcasts, because it's creating the imagination in your head, and that's what I love about it. Drawing is one of my favorite hobbies too. I draw a lot. I just draw for peace, just for relaxation. It's the one thing though that I don't really monetize because I want to make sure that it stays as is, just as a hobby. I have sold some work before in the past, but once I realized that no, I shouldn't do this as a business. This should be the last thing that should be just for fun, 100% separate from anything money related, just as innocent as can be, then that's where I left it at that. And then my other hobby, those of you that know my channel know this, it's Vegas. I love casinos, I love the shows, I love playing the slot machines. That is my other hobby. Some people like taking vacations to, I don't know, like New York or going to the mountains or anything like that. Me, I love Vegas. It just has everything that I love when it comes to a trip. It's got great shows that make up the night. It's got great food. It's got, of course, the slot machines that kind of like with bar hopping. I don't drink, but I can understand why people bar hop because I casino hop. I go from one place to another, and it's just like getting into a whole new world there. That's one of my other hobbies. And then another fun thing about myself is my beautiful cat, Tum Tum. Some of you have heard her in the background. She'll always come up on my desk whenever I'm making these videos, and like most cats, she'll always introduce herself by forcing herself on me and wanting for me to pay attention. So if you've ever heard those like funny noises, that's generally her doing so. Tum Tum named her because she hates being rubbed in the tummy. So kind of like how you name like a fat person Slim, or somebody that never smiles, you call them Smiley. Same thing here. That's why I call her Tum Tum, because she hates being rubbed in the tummy. I adopted her from the Humane Society here in Austin. She was actually, and I purposely did this, she was the most rejected animal there. And the reason I mention this is because when I showed up at the Humane Society, I specifically asked the person helping me out, the girl there, I said, which animal has been here the longest? Because I wanted to find that animal and rescue it. And when they took me to a place, they called it the Lonely Hearts Club. These were animals that hadn't been adopted in more than a month, which is a long time there in the shelter. Anything involving these animals, when they come in, she was telling me they're quickly sold, either within a couple of days or a couple of weeks at most. But in the case of my cat, Tum Tum, she was there for more than 2 months, and that was a long time. And when I first found her, there she was, just curled up inside some glass display, and she wouldn't even bother to look up whenever we were tapping on the glass trying to get her attention. She did actually look up briefly, but then she went back down, just completely ignoring me. And that's when I said, I'll take her, because I realized how much fun it would be to get this cat to love me. And come now, probably a couple years later, I think I've had her now for about maybe 5 years or so. Oh, she cannot separate from me. She absolutely loves me. So that is my cat Tum Tum. And she'll probably make future cameo appearances. It all depends on her whim. Just like anybody else who's a cat lover out there, you know that cats are their own mind, so I can never predict when she wants to become her own star in one of my videos. So if you hear any such noises again, it is her. So alright everybody, that's the behind the scenes look for my channel. I might do another one of these later on, but I wanted to give it as a special edition for all you YouTube fans, all my viewers that have stayed with me. Thank you so much again for your subscription and for your comments. There she is. If you heard her, that's her right now, my cat Tum Tum. But thank you again for that. I definitely appreciate your loyalty, and I will gladly make more of these videos coming in the future. More Godzilla stuff, more cryptids and monsters, more turtles stuff, more urban legends. Be on the lookout for that. So alright everybody, thanks again, take care.